Thursday, March 21st. We have 18 days left on the clock here until the great solar eclipse. In this video, I'm going to respond to this prior video, which states that last night I had a dream of an arrival of a usual comet. This comet had electrical properties in this dream. When the tail of the comet enveloped our planet, it had the effect of destroying all the appliances and electrical network of the world. Then at the same time, it provoked massive earthquake. Do you think this type of comet is possible? And I promise I will respond to the best of my abilities. Highly suggest study the electric comet from the Thunderbolts project. They have numerous videos on electrical discharge and electrical properties of comets. They break it down in so many ways, but there's been comets in the past that has had effects. First that come to mind is, in my mind, from prior observation, was Mars. Mars had two electrical events where we had Comet Spring and Comet Ison pass by close to the planet, and it did have an electrical effect on the planet from a distance. Also, recently, I was covering Comet Lemon, and I have that information also where it had a interaction with Venus, and those images were blacked out. In other words, the space agencies that sometimes they don't show us the truth, but apparently it did have some sort of interaction. But before I get there, this came from NASA a long time ago. This was back in 2013. They put down Comet has inspired dread, fear, and awe in many different cultures and societies around the world. The harbinger of doom, the menace of the universe, messengers of the gods, regarded both as omens of disasters. And it has information, additional information on that website. That article's long been taken down. This article was back in 2003, like I stated in the other video about the magnetic field that solar winds pouring in. But back in 2003, they already reported cracks in our defenses. So once our defenses are weak and cracks are, there's openings the size of California opening up in spots, that would help for that effect to take place as far as electrical, because our defenses, think of it, they're like Star Trek. Our shields are down, let's say 60%, and open spots in certain areas of the planet. So if there was to be electrical interchange between a comet and Earth, or the sun for matter, or the sun and a comet to combine, its chances of reaching the surface are now greater than ever before. There's been videos on where comet interacts with the comet from a distance. It's happened before, has been captured. I did a recent one with 96p in one of the videos. So they do have electrical interchange with each other. This particular case here, 2002 V1, was approximately over 9 million miles away from the sun, and it did have an interaction. Now this video here from NASA back in 2013.
Veteran meteor researcher Paul Weigert of the University of Western Ontario has been using a computer to model the trajectory of dust ejected by Comet Ison, and his findings suggest that an unusual meteor shower could be in the offing. For several days around January 12, 2014, Earth will pass through a stream of fine-grained debris from Comet Ison, says Weigert. The resulting shower could have some interesting properties. For one thing, it could dust the surface of the Earth. The shower is going to hit our planet from two directions at once. When Earth passes through the debris stream, we will encounter two populations of comet dust. One swarm of dust will be following Comet Ison into the sun. Another swarm will be moving in the opposite direction, pushed away from the sun by solar radiation pressure. The streams will pepper opposite sides of Earth simultaneously. In my experience, this kind of double whammy is unprecedented, says Weigert.
Okay, so it's happened before. This is a great possibility this is going to occur. Back when I was covering Ison in 2016, there was videos of the interaction with Ison, but as you can see here, videos been taken out. And also there was a government shutdown that stopped the feed, stop the information flow of the interaction between the two. I know when I was covering not icing, before this got taken down, as the comet was getting closer, this is Venus. And the comet was passing, and this was being expelled from the planet Venus. So it did have an effect from on Venus. There's more. When Comet Spring back in 2011, it had an electrical effect also. Also, there's a lot of stories on the scars on Mars. There are a lot of theories, and this is how close it got, Comet Spring, and it did have an effect on it. So yes, there's videos out there of the encounter. Not only that, I mean, they passed close, and it did have an effect. There's videos on that and Comet Isons also. I mean, there's so many videos of showing Comet having electrical interchange with each other. So many prior, but at a closer distance. So remember our shields being down. I mean, it's not passing close to us, but remember the mass on this comet is 30 kilometers, maybe more. Not like other comets, like famous comets like Comet Halley's, that gets a lot of attention and a lot of observations for hundreds of years observation. And this comet's getting a lot of attention. And this is the first time that I experience that we're not getting any information from the big boys. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, total. I mean, you're looking at the number one all time pretty soon. Probably already surpassed it. Who knows? They're probably not even submitting the reports, you know, to make to keep the numbers low. So yes, this to answer your question, they do have electrical properties. Yes, the whole universe is basically charged. Water. I mean, it could be heavy water, light water, virgin water. With our shields down the way they are, and it all depends on God. If God feels that we're worthy, like Nineveh, I know this, when I first started doing videos, if you look at my archive back in 2000, about 13 years ago, when the Palma, which comet was it? I think it was Ellen, came close, and it also has effects on volcanoes. That's why passage with the we already know about the New Badrick fault. In 1954, when it passed by, it was a hurricane, the most expensive at that time hurricane damage in the United States. And also we had volcanoes waking up here left and right. And there was so many 7-pointers that year. Back in 1883, when the comet was here, the ancient comet. This comet's been going around for this volcano erupted, and it was a major, I think it darkened. See if we could now this here from the History Channel.
More than 100 years ago, it erupted with such devastating fury that it wiped itself off the face of the earth. In the process, it sent out the loudest sound in recorded history and killed more than 36,000 people. And now this deadly volcanic beast is back. Geologists investigate one of the world's fastest growing volcanoes to hunt for clues that will tell them if and when Krakatoa will explode once again.
Okay, that happened in 1883 when Pons-Brooks was in the neighborhood. 12P has 71.3 year orbit, so you gotta add 3 months here and there. But if we take it, okay, we know about the New Madrid, 1954, 1883, and there's probably more. Remember, they didn't have internet and cell phones back in those days. So there's a lot of history to this volcano here. I know there's probably more. I don't know the distance. I could do the research and see how close it was. But let's take it back. Let's do something different. Let's take it back from 1883, 71 0.3 years in the past. Okay, let's take it back from 1812, 70. Let's go back in time, 71 years. Jump in the time machine here, and let's look back and see what happened in the 1741 era. Okay, 1741, 71, point something years back, and we had this eruption of this volcano. I mean, remember then they didn't have the communication that we have now. For this to make news, it had to be a major event story on this. It happened off Japan. Apparently, it caused a big tsunami. And the record keeping back then was not like it is now. Communication back then, so it had a big tsunami. What else we could find? 1741. So apparently there was a lot of recorded news on this 1741 event. I mean, it must have been major because the 1741, I put down 1741 earthquake on Google, and it still talks about that volcanic eruption and tsunami in Japan. Trying to find the earthquake information for that year. I mean, we had one in Italy also, 7.6 right here, earthquake. So it must have been just like Krakatoa. And also 1954, we had the Hawaii. Well, it was major also. So apparently when this, look at the image. Let's just keep showing about Japan. I can't find more information on the earth. Remember, 1741, the country, our country has not even been formed yet. Now let's go back another 71 years. Now we got to add that 0.3 difference. So we got to give or take now. Now we've gone back to 1670. Apparently we had activity there too. Okay, put down 1670 volcanoes, and already in Nicaragua, in 1670. What else we have here? This area had a eruption. Yeah, so apparently 1670 has, remember the record keeping, and I don't think there was telegram. No, there was no telegram, 1670. I mean, there was still boats. So Mount Etna, 1670. Looks like there was activity back in 1670 also. Mexico, 1670. There's a lot of frequency of the 1670. So apparently that's when they started taking some record keepings here in America. Apparently there seems to be some activity in 1670 also. See what the images we could gather. Some of these are recent. Trying to see 1670. They could say, well, this happens all the time. It's just coincidence. Every time this thing seems to be in the neighborhood, we have these major eruptions occurring, earthquakes, weather. And now with that magnetic, the way it is, check out this old picture, see what it says. That'd be an interesting study for somebody to do, put this together and see if there's a connection. I definitely think there's a connection. That's what I have so far. There's a reason why they're building underground bunkers. I mean, Comet Inky on this book that I referenced, titled The End of Eden, Comet That Changed Civilization by Graham Phillips, published in 2007. In this book here, points out that he takes it back to the time of Tutankhamun. No, not Tutankhamun. Who was he? There was a pharaoh. Okay, on this video here, I listened to it. I have to say he's not a good presentator. He doesn't give slides or anything like that, and he jumps and jumps. I mean, it was difficult to listen to, but there was nuggets here.
Because that starts with Santorini, but that's complicated. But basically what I'm saying is we've got a period of around about 1315 BC.
Yeah, he just jumps and jumps. I mean, it doesn't make sense sometimes. Santorini, that's the volcano that wiped out an island north of Egypt, and it was 3 days of darkness or more resulting from that earthquake. I mean, from that eruption and earthquake during the time of...
It's never really been fully explained existence, called the Arton.
Okay, the Alton, the one with the weird head. So Carl Sagan, who done books on comets in the universe, basically on this page right here, and that's what the comet apparently looked like when they got close back in during that time period. Carl Sagan did a study at 1486 BC when that volcano went erupted, and he tied it in with Pons-Brooks. So for Carl Sagan, and he was cosmetologist, so he knew his stuff. For him to pinpoint, even suggest that comet had an effect back in during this time period is interesting, to say the least. Okay, so I hope that that helped a little bit. Could done it better, but I hope they help. So apparently this ancient comet that was rediscovered, Chinese also documented this. Chinese kept great records of this. There's a lot of interesting stories of this comet, and also Inky. Inky was the one that broke apart, the one where my pointer's at, back in Tadao, the other civilization. It didn't hit the Earth, fragments did, and it destroyed basically that civilization. Just the fragments alone, not a direct impact, because Inky's still flying around. Matter of fact, it'll be a player during the, it's a player right now. It's close by when the alignments happen during the eclipse. In other words, Inky's showing his face saying, hey, here I am. You remember me? I hope some of this makes some sense. Good question, though. Thank you for asking it. Vetfather out.